Senator Biden, it's nice to have you here. As the youngest member of the Senate, the one, therefore, who may expect the longest career there, I wonder if you'd say to us, since it's clear that you're not corrupt and you got elected, why should people think that the system produces corrupt results when there you are?
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though.
Your son being hired right out of law school by a big company here in Delaware that is in the credit card business, MBNA. He got about $100,000 a year, as I recall. You received $214,000 in campaign contributions from the company and from its employees. At the same time, you were fighting for a bankruptcy bill that MBNA really wanted to get passed through the Senate, making it much tougher for everyone to file bankruptcy. Senator Obama was opposed to the bill. Among other things, you couldn't, in fact, claim that you had a problem because of big medical bills. You voted against an amendment that would call for a warning on predatory lending. You also called for, you opposed efforts to strengthen the protection of people in bankruptcy.
Joe Biden's elected in 1972. 1973, his campaign manager, his little brother, James Biden, opens up a club in Wilmington. He gets these great loans with no collateral. Of course, the club doesn't do well. Joe Biden ends up calling the bank, complaining about the way that they're harassing his brother for the debt collection. And then Joe Biden even says publicly, well, I don't even know why the bank would make such dumb loans. Three sources at the bank said, oh, it's because he was Biden's brother. Biden's brother then becomes a lobbyist in the 80s representing tobacco attorneys, while Joe Biden is a key senator on this giant tobacco settlement and legislation. So Hunter Biden then serves till 2001, goes and becomes a lobbyist, federal lobbyist. His firm is representing University of Delaware, paying the firm millions of dollars. University of Delaware is getting tens of millions of dollars in earmarks. And that whole time, he's still getting paid $100,000 a year as a consultant for MBNA. Biden is leading the push on bankruptcy reform. He finally gets bankruptcy reform enacted in 2005, and then Hunter Biden's consultancy ends in 2005. And actually, after 2005 is when you see the student loan crisis really take off.
Right.
Huh.
And
it
was this long.
In this legislation, they said, well, you can't really discharge private student loans anymore, and so private student loans
exploded.
Wow.
In retrospect, wasn't it inappropriate for someone like you in the middle of all this to have your son collecting money from this big credit card company while you were on the floor protecting its interest?
Absolutely not. My son graduated from Yale Law School. The starting salary in Wall Street was $140,000 a year if he went to lawyer. Options he had. He came home to work for a bank. Surprise, surprise.
The system does produce corruption, and I think implicit in the system is corruption, when in fact, whether or not you can run for public office, and it costs a great deal of money to run for the United States Senate, even for a small state like Delaware, you have to go to those people who have money, and they always want something.
It's human nature. You go out, Lynn, and bundle $250,000 for me, all legal, and then you call me after I'm elected and say, Joe, I'd like to come and talk to you about something. You didn't buy me, but it's human nature. You helped me. I'm going to say, sure, Lynn, come on in.
So Joe Biden kicked off his campaign at the home of a Comcast executive, raising over $500,000. Then on May 4th, Biden raised more than $100,000 at South Carolina fundraiser. Then Joe Biden brings in massive cash haul at Hollywood fundraiser that draws donors from across the country, and that was on May 8th, where he raised around $700,000.
See, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talk about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son. And so I had to go out. So I had to go to a number of small contributors.
CNBC.com's Brian Schwartz reporting today that the billionaire hedge fund titan Mark Lasry and the investment banker Blair Efron are opening their donor networks to Biden after previously backing Kamala Harris.
How can we trust you to hold these corporations and executives accountable for their crimes against humanity when we know that tomorrow you are holding a high-dollar fundraiser hosted by Andrew Goldman, a fossil fuel executive?
If you're going to a fundraiser that's given in part by this guy who has a company that is pulling up natural gas, are you the right guy to go after these?
Well, I didn't realize he does that. I was told if you look at the SEC filings, he's not listed as one of those executives. That's what we look at, the SEC filings. Who are those executives? I've kept that pledge, period.
So are you going to look at that fundraiser tomorrow night?
I'm going to look at what you just told me and find out if that's accurate, yes.
Okay. I think it's pretty accurate.
Mr. Vice President, Tom Yamas with ABC News. How you doing? Got a quick question for you. It's a question we tried to ask repeatedly. Can we ask you about Ukraine and China? But kept getting blocked. Questions about foreign deals his son Hunter Biden pursued.
My father, Joe Biden.
In countries where Joe Biden was working as America's top diplomat. In 2014, Ukrainians, sick of corruption, revolted. Vice President Joe Biden went to Kiev to help the new government.
You have to fight the cancer of corruption.
But then, something strange happened. Just 3 weeks later, a Ukrainian natural gas company, Burisma, accused of corruption, appoints Hunter Biden, seen here in their promotional videos, to their board of directors, paying his firm more than $1 million a year. He had served on other boards, but had no known experience in Ukraine or natural gas. And Ukraine wasn't the only country where Hunter Biden's business and his father's diplomacy as vice president intersected. It also happened in China. This video shows Chinese diplomats greeting Vice President Biden as he arrived in Beijing in December of 2013. Right by his side, his son Hunter. Less than 2 weeks later, Hunter's firm had new business, creating an investment fund in China involving the government-controlled Bank of China. With reports, they hope to raise $1.5 billion. Hunter still plays a role in the fund. His lawyer says his stake is worth about $500,000. One person who did not want to talk about it, Joe Biden.
This latest detail is about how a lobbyist who was a former aide to Joe Biden is connected to his brother in this kind of sketchy land deal. So the brother buys this parcel of land, for $150,000, divides it into 3 parcels, and then just a year later, sells the 1/3 of the thing for $150,000, the same price that he paid originally to buy it. And in addition, got a mortgage, a loan from this lobbyist friend who, again, is a former aide to Joe Biden.